You wake up in a freezing field, covered in dirt, surrounded by cows, with no memory of how you got there. Then the men who found you start talking about a monster on the road, and before sunrise you'll find out if they were telling the truth.
What's that? You want to be scared? Come with me. You will experience tales of horror, ghosts, and death. It is not recommended for the weak at heart. Listen in the dark. It's more fun that way. This is Weekly Spooky.
Hello, my spookies. It's Wednesday, and you know what that means. It's time for a little spooky in your weekly. I'm your host and narrator, Enrique Couto, and boy, do we have a trip for you tonight. But before we get to that, I want to say thank you all so much for joining us for another terror tale. This is episode 390. If you can believe it. And on 400, I'm going to present a very special episode just for you. So make sure you're subscribed on your favorite podcasting app. And while you're at it, leave us a rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It really does help the show out. That way, others who need their Halloween fix all year long know they're in the right place. And if you want to support us in a direct way while getting 2 bonus episodes every month, just head to weeklyspooky.com/join. For as little as $1 a month, you get those 2 bonus shows and over 5 years of exclusive audiobooks and creepypasta readings at weeklyspooky.com/join. Over 90 spookies have signed up, and now is the best time ever for you to do so too. And on Friday, we'll be back with Cutting Deep into Horror, talking all about Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. So, I hope to see you there this Friday. But now, as for tonight, have you ever made a bad choice? And then another? And then one more, until the night no longer feels like it belongs to you at all, until the road seems off. The fields are too quiet, and every shadow looks like it might be crawling closer. Because out in the back roads, far from town and far from help, there are places where people disappear into the dark without anyone hearing them scream. Places where something hungry may already be waiting, just beyond the headlights. The Backroads Cryptid by Bruce Haney. Every former druggie has their rock-bottom story on why they quit using, and this is mine. Once I was so messed up that I woke up in a field. How the hell did I get there? Was the first question. The second was, do cows attack people? I wasn't sure, but I was surrounded by them. It was dark and I was freezing, and they seemed to be interested in me. I backed away as one of them approached. When it got a little closer, I jumped up and started running. They didn't follow. I wasn't sure where I was or how I got there, but I knew how I got started on the journey. I was at a house party, and I was drinking heavily, which I've been known to do from time to time. Usually I wake up with a hangover on someone's floor to find out I had embarrassed myself by singing along to some terrible song or hitting on someone else's girlfriend. This party was different. I only knew a handful of people, and there was a bit of an older crowd hanging around. I remember somebody saying that some people were doing drugs, which excited me. I smoked weed before, but these rumors were about hard drugs. I heard that somebody was snorting coke in the bathroom. I was hammered by the time I decided that it was finally time for me to take my drug experimentation to the next level. I went to the bathroom and found out that the rumor of hard drug use was true, but it wasn't coke like I had thought. The guy I met wore a shirt that read, "Don't Narcan me. I'd rather die than lose my high." That should have been enough of a red flag, but when he offered me a hit, I accepted. So he pulled out a glass pipe. Fuck, I had thought. I wasn't ready for that hardcore of a drug, at least not yet. I'm not that crazy, but I was that drunk, so I took a hit. A few moments later, I stumbled away from the man, feeling weird. So I picked up a bottle of whiskey. Somebody yelled, "Hey, that's mine!" But I didn't care. I was hoping I could counteract whatever I just smoked with the booze. The last thought I had before I blacked out and subsequently woke up in that field was, wow, I can chug whiskey. "There he is!" A voice from behind me yelled while I tried to escape the field. It wasn't a familiar voice. I looked up to see a tall young man who, unlike me, I could tell didn't just dabble in hard drugs. He made it a full-time obsession. To say he was unkempt was an understatement. The hair that stuck out from under his dirty black hat that advertised an energy drink was stringy and greasy. The rest of his ensemble included a dirty pair of old jeans and an even dirtier pair of camouflage Crocs. His t-shirt had a large handgun on it and said, "Hold still, I'm reloading." What was it with druggies and jokey t-shirts? And who wears Crocs in a pasture? There was some grass, but mostly it was dirt and cow dung. I looked down at myself to see that I was pretty dirty too, like I had been rolling around in that field. "Hey buddy, you doing okay?" the man asked. "Where am I?" "Bucky's house," he said. "How did I get here?" "Man, you were fucked up, you menace," he laughed. "What?" Then the meth head from the party walked out. "Don't you remember the party? You were smoking and drinking." "Yeah? Well, you got us kicked out for hitting on Sarah." "Oh no, Sarah as in Sarah who was hosting the party and engaged to Tom? That Sarah? That would be the one." "Okay, well, can somebody drive me to town?" "Man, you don't remember shit about last night, do you?" "I guess not. How did we get here if not with a car?" "We can explain later. We need to get you back inside before it comes back." I didn't argue any further. We went inside and they explained to me what had happened. First, they reintroduced themselves. The guy from the party was named Bucky, so I guess this was his house. The one I met in the field was named Rai. "Is that a nickname for Ryan?" I asked. "No," was all he responded. According to them, we were on the road heading to their house to get more drugs. During the trip, I demanded that they pull over because I felt like I was going to puke. They said, "No, we don't stop around here." In some drugged-out, drunk haze, I opened the door to puke and fell out while the car was moving. Luckily, they didn't run me over. Somehow. But all my screaming from the road rash brought attention to us. They claimed that was when they saw it, a creature unlike any animal or even cryptid legend I had ever heard of. They said it walked on all fours, but in other ways it was humanoid, though it had no hair, which isn't great for a creature in the Pacific Northwest where it rains all the time. Other characteristics they described were an oversized head, large teeth, and claws on all four of its hands and legs. They described this all to me, but I didn't believe them. Not at all. Not for a second. But I remained calm, asked pertinent questions to find out where I was, and tried to figure out how to get back home. We were about 10 miles from civilization, they told me. I checked my phone, but it was dead. The car had been abandoned a mile before we got to the farm. That's where we were attacked. They also told me that there was another guy with us, a man named Steve, who was assumed to be dead. As soon as my phone had charged a couple of percentage points, I texted Miranda to pick me up, but she didn't respond, so I sent a text to Brian. No response. Finally, I tried Karen, who only replied, "Fuck you." Just how awful was I at that party? I wondered. When I gave up on getting a ride, I let my phone charge and went back to hear the rest of the story. Okay, so we all saw this creature and then what happened? I asked. Well, Steve, the nice guy he was, ran out to try and grab you and get you back in the car. The creature saw him and left you to go attack him instead. I saw the fucking monster bite into the top of his head, Bucky said. Then he took his claws, Rai explained, and started tearing up his flesh, holding him still with his teeth the whole time, Rai finished. So why didn't the car make it to the house? I asked. Well, like dumbasses with our friend being ripped to literal shreds, we used the opportunity to try to save you, Bucky said. And while we did that, that fucking thing attacked my fucking car. You don't remember any of this shit? Rai asked. Honestly, I don't recall or, frankly, believe any of this. Fuck you! Our buddy is dead, his car is fucked, and you don't even believe it happened? I should kick your ass, Bucky said. Okay, calm down. I'm going to try a couple of other people and see if I can get out of your hair. Sorry for any inconvenience my presence has had on your evening. As I walked to the kitchen to make a few more calls, I heard Rai say, "You're right. We were fine before the fucker came into our lives. And did you hear the condescending way he apologized? I think I owe him a punch at least," Rai finished. Not being a fighter, when I heard his footsteps coming, I decided to run out the back door. As I hid behind an old camper, I realized that in my haste to avoid an ass-whooping, I had left my phone inside. I waited in silence for them to come out and look for me. Rai popped his head out the back door and yelled, "Hey, fucker! I don't think I liked your tone earlier. We need to talk." "Come back in, he ain't worth it. Plus, that thing is still out there, somewhere," Bucky reasoned. "Do you think it followed us?" "It wouldn't be the first time. Too bad that guy woke up. He could have been the offering. So it leaves us alone," Bucky said. "Well, fuck. Maybe it could find him, and he still could be, Rai said, and then made his way back to the house, closing the door behind him. I could be the offering. Fuck these dudes. Then I heard some rustling, followed by a noise that sounded like growling, coming from the direction of the field I had been in. Well, I'll show these fuckers. I grabbed the first rock I found and walked over to the back door, and as slowly and quietly as I could, I opened it and used the rock as a doorstop to keep it open. Now I just needed to make a bit of noise, but not enough for the two people in the house to hear me. I looked around, and to my luck, I found a couple of empty energy drink cans. I threw the first one, but it landed a bit short of the door, and in a spot where the cows hadn't eaten or shit upon yet. So, it made no noise. The next one I tossed at a torn-apart bicycle that was near the back door. Bullseye. It connected, and it made a good amount of noise. I didn't hear a response from the house, but I did hear something make its way to the can. Holy shit. They weren't lying. The thing was wild. Imagine the ugliest person you've ever seen. Now imagine them with giant teeth, claws, no hair, and dirtbag filthy from walking through the shit-filled fields. It inspected the can, then looked around, and to my dismay, it turned and headed in the other direction. I quickly scanned the area for something else to get its attention, but found nothing. I checked my pockets and only found my wallet and keys. Wait, I felt something in my watch pocket. Yes, thank God for seasonal dry lips. I had a chapstick, which I threw at the open doorway in just enough time for him to hear it. The creature screamed out and started running for the doorway. Inside, I heard Bucky yell, "You didn't leave the back door open, did you?" Just as Rai got to the back door, the creature leaped at him. Rai turned, so it ended up sinking its teeth into his back. Oh, how he screamed as it bit chunk after chunk out of him. I never expected to see a person's exposed spine before. I took it as my cue to run. As I ran, I heard Bucky scream, "Rai!" Then I heard Bucky's scream go from panic to pain. I guess they became the offering. I hid for the rest of the night, and then walked towards where I expected home to be. But I was wrong. If I had walked south, it would have only been 10 miles. I went north, so I ended up walking 15 miles before I passed out from exhaustion. Eventually, somebody driving by called the cops. During their search of my body for ID, they found a bag of meth on me. Luckily, it's Oregon though, so I spent a couple nights in jail. I paid a fine and then restarted my life. And that is why, kids, you don't do drugs. What gets me, my spookies, is that this story doesn't begin with a haunted house or ancient curse. It starts with a few bad decisions, a busted night, and the kind of people you know better than to trust, but go with anyway. 1 minute it's a ride out into nowhere with two twitchy strangers. The next minute you're out in a cow pasture covered in mud and realizing the craziest people in the car may have been the only ones telling the truth. Because that's the real nightmare, isn't it? Not just that something was out there on those back roads, low to the ground, all teeth and claws and hunger, but that by the time you finally believed it, it was already at the farmhouse. So tonight, maybe skip the midnight drive and don't follow anybody down some nameless road past the last porch light in town. And make sure you're subscribed because this Friday, Cutting Deep into Horror is back. We leave the backroads behind for the nastiness of Chicago as we talk about Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, a film so grimy and cold, it'll leave you speechless. And I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon podcast boosters, folks who pay just a little bit more to hear their names at the end of the show. And they are Johnny Nix, Kate and Lulu, Jessica Fuller, Mike Eschewey, Jenny Green, Amber Hansford, Karen Weemet, Jack Kerr, and Craig Cohen. Thank you guys so much. And if you want to hear your name at the end of every episode of Weekly Spooky, just head to weeklyspooky.com/join and sign up at the $15 a month or higher tier. It really does help the show keep going and going, even outside of the traditional spooky season. But now it's time for me to get back to it because there's so much more fear to bring you. I'll be seeing you soon. For myself, for my executive producers Rob Fields and Bobbletopia.com, my producer Dan Wilder, and my composer Ray Mattis, I'll talk at you next time. And just say no.
Thank you for listening. Make sure to find your way back next week. But for now, you are safe. Trust me. Ha 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 ha!